Robert's flashlight cut through the darkness of the abandoned tunnel. The once featureless gray walls were now covered in stains and all manner of graffiti. Proudly displayed names, stick figures, the weird letter S that he saw everywhere in these places, and most impressively, what must have been a life-sized image of a Tyrannosaurus, stretching all the way onto the roof above with nightmarish teeth. Robert raised his camera and snapped a photo. That would definitely be going on his blog. His feet crunched on the track ballast as he followed alongside the worn train tracks. He got tangled up on discarded plastic bags and empty soda cans as he moved. He called out to no one in particular. The voice echoed throughout the tunnel. Ahead, the tunnel made a right turn. With no exit in sight, it was pitch black, all-encompassing darkness. Taking a last look at the sunlight pouring in from the entrance behind him, Robert turned along with the tunnel and was engulfed in the darkness. Only his flashlight guided him, sweeping from checking obstacles on the ground to taking in the sights of the walls. Even in the pitch darkness, there was graffiti on the walls, which made sense. Out of sight from any bothersome, nosy passersby and cops. A replica of the train that used to pass through was revealed by the beam of light, or rather half a train carriage before the artist ran out of paint or gave up. Further in there were political caricatures. Then, a depiction of a sunny beach with a pile of very real trash and cardboard lying at the base of the art. Robert chuckled. When the tunnel turned again further in, Robert's light caught onto something that made him stop in his tracks. He took a moment to catch his breath. "God damn," he chuckled again, his laughter echoing again and again down both directions of the tunnel. It was a picture of a bearded man in a green hoodie and long, dark pants, staring ahead with a blank expression on his face. The artwork was detailed and sharp, like someone had used an actual paintbrush on the walls to get everything just as lifelike as possible. Robert carried on, and a few meters down there was another person. This time, a woman with dyed red hair and cherry lipstick in an elegant black dress. When he shone his flashlight onto the opposite walls, more figures were revealed. A scruffy, dirty-looking man, a young boy, a woman in a tuxedo carrying a rainbow umbrella. Robert couldn't help but be impressed. The amount of variation in such detailed art was nothing short of incredible, especially working in a dark tunnel like this. As he walked further, more of them showed up. There were easily over 30, at varying levels of height. He finally paused, brows furrowing, as the light was cast upon a little girl with her raven dark hair and pigtails, wearing a white shirt with hearts on it. Something was familiar. That was it. Mary Campbell, on the news, just 2 weeks ago. She had gone missing one day when out playing and never appeared again. One of the many disappearances over the past decade. Robert turned his flashlight back on the previous images. Most remained unfamiliar, but some crept back into his memory. Oliver Regan, Gregory Clear, Rachel Black, Thomas something. All people that had gone missing over the past few years. It was like a mural, some dedication to the missing. Strange, but artists were like that. Still, He began to feel uneasy goosebumps on his arms and quickly turned to keep going down the tunnel, line moving past little Mary again. Hang on. No. The flashlight shone on the detailed art and colors of the back of her head and the hearts on the back of her white shirt. But that wasn't possible. He remembered seeing her face staring into the familiar blue eyes. He turned again. Some of the other people on the walls were now facing away from him. Back again to Mary. She was looking over her shoulder, grinning. He stood frozen, staring at her mischievous smile, his brain trying to get him to move. His breathing was faster, his heart pounding, sweat beads moving down his forehead. Should he run back the way he came? He slowly rotated until he was facing that way and shined the flashlight down the tunnel. All the drawings had turned to face him. They had wide smiles on their faces. He moved a step forward uneasily. The images didn't move, and he could see that they were now drawn to look like they were facing him. Then, his flashlight suddenly flickered, and a dozen different giggles broke out ahead of him. Before Robert even registered the thought, he found himself sprinting down the tunnel in the other direction. His boots kicked up the rocky ballast. His footsteps and breath were all he could hear, but he dared not look behind him. He ran and ran until he saw ahead of him the tunnel turning to the light, faint rays of light peeking through. Just a little further. Robert screamed as he collided into a stone wall. He fell backwards into the tracks, yelling in agony. Warm blood flowed out of his nose and out from the white-hot pain in his forehead. His flashlight was broken in the impact, and he threw it down. He was in total darkness again. Where was the light ahead? Setting his camera to flash, Robert snapped a photo. Captured ahead of him was a drawing of the right-turning tunnel with superbly detailed rays of light, now distorted from his angle on the ground. The tracks to freedom merely led upwards into the roof. It was an image. Robert scrambled to his feet and pounded his fists on the stone wall, screaming and crying. How? How could there be a stone wall in the middle of the tunnel? It wasn't possible at all. The sound of giggling from behind made him jolt. Bringing his camera up, he snapped a photo, lighting up the all-consuming darkness for a split second. The drawings were all just 20 meters away, peeking from behind each other with smiles on their faces. Others had raised beckoning hands, which vanished as darkness took over. Robert pressed his back into the wall and snapped again. They were closer now. His trembling fingers clicked the button again. The tuxedo woman was caught frozen in full sprint, as were several others. Closer. Closer. Nearly on top of him. In that brief glimpse of light, the corner of his eye caught little Mary Campbell on the wall behind him, fingers outstretched. His camera was roughly snatched away. The echoes of his cries carried on for a while longer than his actual scream did.
Today on WPA Evening News, we bring to you the report of a missing person, Robert Glenn. Image now on the screen. If you have seen this person recently, please contact the police immediately. He was last seen yesterday at 2 in the afternoon.